Dev Wednesdays. I'm Eric, and this is John. John, what's up?
Hi. Another exciting day of excitement.
Yeah, I think that we have a cool stream for you today. Let me pull it up on the screen. Yeah, today we are going to be doing Builder, or it's spelled like everything in crypto. If it switch out, it's like Budler.
It's Beedler. I am not a personal fan of the name, but the name comes from, I think, the term hodl.
Yeah, so it's like everything else inside the crypto space where you just like kind of like
Yeah, so it's like their
swap it
version
out.
of hacking, except is building, which is beadling because everyone's hodling.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
It makes sense to me. So the idea though is that it's we're doing an introduction to Builder or Budler, and we're going to like the main purpose of this is actually pretty big because it's actually pretty difficult to debug your smart contracts. What are your thoughts?
I would say Beedler is almost revolutionary.
Okay.
If you're trying to develop smart contracts and if they get to any measure of complexity and you want to understand how they're working and why they are failing on you, the tools that had previously existed are kind of terrible. And
Maybe
Beedler,
just to give a not an in-depth conversation on, but like what's something off the top of your head that we should use truffle main.
and truffle's all right.
What is truffle to you?
To me, what is truffle to me?
What is truffle to you?
A little bit of a headache.
Hey, Lewis from Facebook. What's up? Holler.
Hey. Anyway, so Truffle is a framework for testing and deploying smart contracts. If anyone doesn't know.
Okay. Cool.
But
yeah.
Truffle to me is
at least inside your tool chain. That's what I meant by to you.
Okay, it's a step above Remix.
Okay.
Or at least what Remix was. Remix is kind of cool now. Like that's a whole nother live stream. There's like all the crazy things you can do with Remix just in your browser. But Truffle has some reasonably nice tools for creating complex scripting of smart contracts. So you can compile, deploy your smart contracts and make them do a whole mess of things in a nice scripting environment.
So I think like how it describes itself is that it's a test runner.
Yeah. So it runs a test. They both have JavaScript and Solidity unit testing, but most tests will end up in JavaScript to simulate a real world environment. And so you would run a bunch of tests in JavaScript that simulate different account interactions with your smart contracts.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was reading. It's like on a lot of the Builder repos, a lot of the boilerplates that I've been reading have like Mocha and Chai assertion libraries.
Mm-hmm. So what Truffle would allow you to do is assert this thing is supposed to happen in your smart contracts, and then get angry when it doesn't.
Yeah, we're trying to get angry today, right? With a little aggro with our smart contract development. Psych.
Yeah, it can happen. Because unlike a real regular programming language, there is no what's the phrase? Like pausable debugger.
Yeah.
So there is no way to just freeze your code and see all the variable names. Now there was a debugger that allowed you to see the bytecode, so you could see all the opcodes, but for 99% of people, that's unreadable.
Yeah.
Unless you're like that crazy, like, I don't know, 3,000 people who's actively maintaining the Ethereum virtual machine.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to know what all the opcodes really mean. That's the only kind of debugging that previously existed in Solidity.
Okay.
So in Solidity, you run into primarily VM exception errors, and one will be a revert where logic that cannot happen tries to happen.
Okay.
And one will be an opcode error, which are the scarier ones, because that means like literally the byte code's breaking somewhere. So you're accessing memory you're not supposed to access. You're trying to put something somewhere where it's not supposed to go.
Mm-hmm.
You just found a new bug, maybe, if you're really unlucky.
So like the I guess like the ultimate thing is that something that when I first saw Builder, it was talking about just having that standard classic, being able to print out from the console is now possible.
Yeah, we didn't even get into that, but one thing that was impossible is to print any kind of console log or variables in Solidity.
Yeah. And that's what's answered here.
Back in the old days, you couldn't even know why your contract was getting a revert error. They added in Truffle the ability to say, add a log message for when your contract reverts.
Okay.
So you know that this logic was not being handled properly.
Mm-hmm.
That used to not even exist, but you couldn't see which variables were causing your logic to fail.
Okay.
And so for me, that ended up, my strategy was to line by line comment out portions of my smart contract until I could figure out where it was failing. That was the strategy, and that was the most effective strategy I found to actually debug a Solidity contract.
Okay. Well, do you want to jump? Let's jump right in on it.
Yeah, and so then they created Beadler. Actually, a while ago, but they've released their I guess upgraded version, which everyone is promoting.
Okay. Let's see.
Okay,
you want to do it?
I guess.
Yeah, let's start. Do you want to start driving?
So I have.
Here, on the add your screen.
I guess.
Let's see. All right.
So I have. I'm in Windows using Windows subsystem for Linux 2, which is really cool. I recommend everyone get it.
If you're using Windows and you're trying to break into.
Yeah, and so I have Node, npm, and I have Beadler installed globally.
Okay.
So I'm going to be creating a new Beadler project, and I'm following. And what I would say biggest problem, if there is any, is the vast bewildering array of configuration options there is in Builder.
A bewildering gamut of Beadler dependencies.
Yes, but
can you do Control Plus? Maybe zoom in for everybody.
But it's also very powerful. It's like both bad and good.
One more time.
Bad and good at the same time.
All right.
Beadler gives you a lot of possible plugins,
mm-hmm.
which gives you a lot of possible functionality, but you have a lot of things to install and manage in terms of dependencies. So I created a repo, and now I have CD into it, and
so we're just gonna create everything from scratch.
Yeah, and this is officially basically how Beadler tells you to set things up. So npm init, and so when you create Beadler, you have to use the Node package manager to create a project. So if you've never used npm, this is also kind of a tutorial to npm init.
Mm-hmm.
But this is just already created. So
yeah, so every time, just for people who don't know, whenever you do an on npm init, we are creating a package.json right at the top root of the folder. So this is actually what you're looking at right now. And we're just going to make sure that we have all the dev dependencies installed, right?
Yeah, and so we're going to do npm install save debs Beadler, and this might actually be redundant because I installed, actually I'm pretty sure I have this globally installed, but
at the same time, when you do the --save flag on npm install, it will update the package JSON. So we should always check that out. So it looks like it's doing something. So
it's installing the
compiling.
KCAC 256 and the secp 256k1 elliptical curve in JavaScript, which always blows my mind that that's just in JavaScript.
Yeah, there's a lot of really powerful cryptographic functions just underneath the hood, ready to use. It's just great. Yo, if you're just joining, we're doing smart contract debugging and testing, which beforehand was a real pain.
Yeah, we're going to we're going to show you the quantum leap in smart contract development that has taken place in the past year.
So, okay, so if you're just joining, which I just saw a bunch of people just join, we're doing npm init. Can we look at the package JSON again?
Okay.
So we use the save dev flag, so that should place that in the package. So that's the builder version. Can we do a cat on the? Or yeah, let's look inside the package.
So let's see. Let's make sure I'm in the right.
Yeah, you're in there.
Okay, cool. So what do we have? We have.
Okay. So it says dev dependencies. We just did --save dev. So it'll actually inside the developer dependencies. You can see at the bottom of line 13, we have Nomic Labs Builder at version 1.3.6. Great. All right. So what else do we need for this tutorial?
We need a Beadler config.
Okay.
.js. Let's see. Did I spell it right?
Yeah, looks good.
Okay.
Beadler.
And then let's try and run this again. Let's see what happens. Interesting. With your.
So what we're trying to do right now is we're going to install the. This is actually using Mocha and Chai testing frameworks, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let's see. Do you have that installed? I was looking for a config file or no?
Create an empty config file. Let me see. Interesting. It's getting. So I'm following basically what Beadler says to do to create a new config file.
Okay. Does it do its own, or is it not registered?
Yeah, usually it creates its own. So like if I go, let's see outside this folder, and then I do mpx Beadler. That's interesting. Is it?
Well, where did you start? You said you had it installed globally, right?
Yeah. Let's see. It might be this folder. There might be something weird going on because I.
Oh no! Did you install on?
Okay. So this is what Okay. So I'm gonna have to switch.
Just create a sample. Yeah, just create a sample project from here.
Things up. Let's see. I'm going to go back into that actually.
Okay.
So I can go back into CD stream, CD. Let's see. What am I? Okay. Yeah, things get tricky.
They only get tricky when you install things globally.
No, it gets tricky when you make a folder and a subfolder of another folder. But it's
that's supposed to save the trouble for that.
Right. No, but it was reading from the configuration of the folder the subfolder was in.
Cool.
Weird thing, but let's see. So copy Beadler.
Let's see.
I can use the R flag for recursive.
Bum, bum.
And
Very cool.
And so I'm in Beadler tutorial, and then now reopen it. No.
Wrong.
That's the one thing I don't like about WSL2 is the
folder structure.
No, the Windows integration. It's now basically like you're interacting with a network outside of
your own kernel.
Yes.
Very strange.
That's essentially how it functions, but you're not. When WSL1 just kind of treated it like, oh, so now I have the right option. So create an empty config.
Sweet, let's do it. Can you make your can you close the left?
What?
Yeah, that folder Explorer box. Yeah, close that off and make.
Let's see. So this
if you
is
control B, and then make it go away. It's bad.
So now we're going to install everything else you would want, which is a lot of things.
Excellent. Can you do one more Control Plus? Just because I want to amplify the and then Control B. We'll make that bigger. We'll get rid of the Explorer. Okay, so let's see what we're installing here. We're going to be installing Nomic Labs, Builder, Ethers. Yeah, we're installing Waffle and Waffle Chai. Well, actually, Ethereum Waffle, and we're installing Chai as well, which is the testing framework.
All right. Ethereum Waffle is
that's the Chai.
Is basically a JavaScript testing library for writing.
It's basic when we're writing tests, it actually touts itself as the most advanced framework for testing smart contracts. But it's basically when we're using Chai, it's going to allow Chai to have new functionalities like expect to be reverted or expect emit. So when we're, for instance, working with a ERC20, for instance, we're going to be able to issue a token, but we're going to have like a token with a balance as a fixture, and we can add them to, and has support for TypeScript as well.
Yes. And so this is has a built-in so what's cool about Beadler is it's somewhat agnostic to JavaScript Web3 libraries, or at least the two primary ones that exist, which are Ethers and Web3. But and the Web3 is the most popular because it has the Web3 brand, which sounds cool. But Ethers.js is the more lightweight version. It's the slimmer, trimmer, like get things done Ethereum JavaScript library.
Sure.
And I would say it is definitely easier from for doing
your experience
in certain tasks. Web3 is more robust in, at least from what I've seen, in its ability to handle Ethereum events.
Okay.
But Ethers.js is very easy, and has definitely advantages in its wallet creation, and more installation.
Woohoo!
Yeah, maybe I should have just gone to create a default package, or for a full project.
That's fine. It's part of the experience. It's like we're here watching cryptographic libraries be compiled real time.
Yeah, you get that nice stream of crazy things.
It looks like we're hacking. Like, wow, look at all the extra text.
Yeah, it's kind of like looks like the Matrix, maybe.
Yeah, in reality, it's just make. The internet is installing.
So
let's talk about what we're going to be doing next. We are going to
make a
payable function. Right?
Yeah, we're going to make a token. And we're going to take the easy route and we're going to install. We're going to do one more installation, which is going to be Open Zeppelin. And if anyone doesn't know what Open Zeppelin is, it is a free library of smart contracts that have been heavily audited and used by everybody. So if you want a token, don't write your own. Use theirs.
Heck no.
Yeah, so we're going to make a Ethereum ERC20 token, and then we're going to break it terribly and show you how Builder would assist in figuring out why it's broken. Basically.
I want to break a smart contract horribly. Let's do it.
Yeah, we're going to tackle the dreaded invalid opcode error I mentioned.
Okay.
But first, we're going to add to the config a little bit. That adds that uses Beadler waffle.
So everything's installed.
One more dependency.
Okay, what is it?
Open Zeppelin /contracts, and that gives you access to the entire Open Zeppelin catalog of contracts.
Cool. Very good. When it's all right, cool.
Okay, so now we're making a folder called contracts. And while we're at it, we will make another folder called test.
I wonder what will happen in there.
Yeah, we will. It's a mystery. We will figure it out.
So we're just gonna. What's the name of our token? First word that comes to your mind.
Token?
No.
Okay.
On.
Like an English word?
Yeah, just a word. The first. What's the last thing you ate?
Okay, last thing I ate was cheese. So
done. What kind of cheese was it? Wait.
Cheddar, like
cheddar token.
Okay.
Even better. Because you have to make that cheddar. Yo, Scott Spiegel. I was wondering when someone was gonna notice I had a Mount Gox T-shirt.
It took them a while.
It took them a while, yeah. But I was this is a crypto community, so I think they would know.
Let me see, what do we have in our dev? So now we have Open Zeppelin contracts. We have Chai, Ethereum Waffle, Ethers, and then the Nomic Lab versions. So now we have the Cheddar token, and
Cheddar tokies.
But
okay,
this is a very basic example from
Open Zeppelin.
Yes.
This is super important. Let's go from the top. So we're at Solidity version 6 right now.
Yes, and
what we're using for it.
That may or may not work when we try and compile this. We'll get to that next based on the Beadler config. So we might have to.
So what are we seeing? We're saying import Open Zeppelin, Pragma, Solidity. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is a library. in our node modules, there is a bunch of smart contracts deep in this. We're importing that directly from there. And then we are defining the contract name as cheddar token, and we are inheriting all properties of erc20.sol in a polymorphic fashion. Ooh, polymorphism. And we are creating a what? Thoughts?
Sick. So it accepts one argument, which is the balance.
Yes. And so the constructor is what launches the token.
Yeah.
And this is kind of a multi-part constructor. So in Solidity, see this ERC20 thing? This constructor essentially triggers an ERC20 constructor. So you basically, it's kind of an incepted constructor where it builds on its base class, but it has to construct its base class too, which is ERC20, which we're going to change the name to that because that doesn't make sense. Cheddar token and
what's our
CH?
what is it?
What?
CHDRT? We can do how many we can do, or just cheddar like CHDR.
Yeah, I guess we go for a 4-letter acronym.
I don't think that's an acronym. I think that's just the symbol.
Yeah, it's not an acronym, it's an abbreviation.
The symbol.
So this is a public function that does one thing, which calls the mint function of the ERC20 token.
Okay.
And that mints a token to whoever constructs the contracts and to whatever balance.
Okay. Let's check it out. Now, what we're going to do is
we're going to see if this will compile.
Yes.
It's the mystery, because I don't know if Beadler config
What version do you use for Beadler?
Right now? It supports everything, I think. I don't know what the default is because we haven't configured anything. Okay. So there is a function called. So this is the default Beadler compile, and we're using npx, which is a manager for npm.
Yeah, npx is so you can install different versions of npm based on your package lock.json inside the root folder. So if you have certain programs that are running at other, let's see, have you installed what?
So I find one of the best touches of this. You probably meant to type Beadler. We got you, because I typed Buildler, Builder, and that's cool because
we don't have the right dev version.
No, so by default their instructions don't work, which is interesting. So some good feedback for the Beadler team. If you're watching this, change your instructions for. Maybe. Let's see. So Ether has got to be 4.27. And so what I did here was I changed in the package.json.
Yep.
So if you
have to do npm build, install, yeah.
I'm pretty sure install will just.
It will relook at the package.json, notice that there's a difference, and then uninstall.
Correct.
There's a difference inside my package.json. You know what's really important? Drinking water.
Oh, man.
Ethereum waffle.
Let's see. So all our dependencies are too new.
I knew it.
So maybe I have like the old version of
Okay, let's just save it and let's keep the cadence going.
Let's see.
I have to do npm install again.
And see, this is what I mentioned starting out. Like dependencies are like a serious thing with Beedler.
Well, usually you would kind of like figure the dependencies out before.
Yeah, usually you could just git clone a repo that already exists or Docker.
Yeah. I think that the Docker. Let's see what it says here.
I wonder would. Ooh, okay.
Wait. All right.
Well, tried to compile, so it wants
A different version.
So by default, it uses compiler 5.15.
Dun dun dun.
So the question is, do we try and hack the config, or do we downgrade the
How about we use a package JSON that we know works?
not package JSON? This is the Beedler.
Yeah, I know, but we could say the discrepancy between Beedler here. I want to post it in Discord. This is a package JSON that comes with the. This is the package JSON that comes with the hackathon builder that's on their site. So it looks like if you use this array of dependencies, it would work. So we're looking at what builder version 1.2.
Right, we need a beedler.config file. So for instance, I could just switch it to 5.15. And let's see. And let's see what's going to happen here. But so Open Zeppelin wants 6, but Beedler wants 5, and that's like the contradiction here.
Do we have the one that you've been working on already?
We do.
Yeah, let's just try to switch out to that because it looks like it's going to take us a while.
But what you can do is you can download Open Zeppelin, but you can actually
downgrade.
Yeah, Open Zeppelin contracts.
Okay. npm install, right? Yeah, we got more people jumping in on the stream. If you're just joining, we are working on the fine world of Ethereum smart contract debugging and testing. Right now, we're going through the dev dependencies of that installation, and
this is actually something important that you should know because so Open Zeppelin updates itself to use the latest version.
Sure.
But if you have an issue like this, that Beedler wants 5, and you don't feel like having to, let's see. So you don't feel like you want to be able to use the old versions of Open Zeppelin, which there are many reasons to do that. You want legacy code. And the Solidity upgrades have actually, to somewhat degree, have given diminishing returns, and that the difference between 4 and 5 was enormous. Then 5 and 6 is in terms of like the bug fixes that have been created, but it is pretty impressive. They're already to like 6.9. Ooh, close.
Okay, well, it got through at least the first part. So the constructor is wrong.
Wrong argument for modification.
Is there supposed to be a comma?
No, so that is a I am going to expected 0. So let's see what happens here.
0.
Yeah, because it's a different version of the Open Zeppelin contracts. And that did compile. That could create some problems because let's see.
You don't have it explicitly stated, right? At least not yet.
What? Yeah, so
you don't have your ERC20 like written out.
So that's interesting because that means the name parameters were actually not
interesting.
Not included in the older version of OpenZeppelin. So that's
So they expected you to have
to use
your own SOL file.
Yeah, well, there's probably a different structure to what you get in ERC20. There's probably like another version that has the name.
Mm-hmm.
But so we got a compilation. So what do you want to do? Get a testing file to work, or
yeah, so I think that let's just bring it back for everyone who's just starting. Is that we kind of have an ERC20 token that is compiling right now, and I think that we should try to write a function that is going to do something. I was thinking about, what was the scenario we were trying to think about?
Okay.
We were just going to make a greeter function, like a very similar, a very simple one.
Well, we could show a greeter function, but what I was going to do is show you how the useful properties of Beadler allow you to debug something complex.
Okay, so you're going to we're going to make a couple of functions.
Yeah, so what I was going to do is I'm going to, let's see, MPX Beadler. Beadler itself includes its own blockchain virtualization.
Yeah, that's something that's good to talk about.
Let's see.
So really what it's doing, and a big reason why it's been really hard to debug, is because you have to set up an entire virtual machine to do so, and that's exactly what it is included here. So we can actually run a test virtual machine and then being able to get your values out of there.
So what we're going to do is and so have a function that's going to run into an opcode error.
Okay.
So this function would be called send tokens. So you would imagine this is a crowd sale or a ICO token drop. And they're going to spam you by giving you all the tokens or giving a bunch of people tokens.
Sweet. So pretty simple. We're just going to send.
So you have a for loop that loops through a specific number. So and that mints people tokens. So and so you're going to mint this recipient's I, and you're going to say mint them 10 to the 18, which is in normal standards 1 token, because 18 decimal places is generally the standard. But
so that's really we're gonna define like a really simple. So just in case we don't know, for people at home, address is an array, and it's a special data type just for the addresses in Ethereum. And we're instantiating a new recipients, which we're going to iterate through inside the function send token. Correct?
A what?
Can you clear out the side explorer, the side explorer and the terminal? Yeah.
Okay, so
cool.
This is a very simple function that loops through an array and mints tokens for recipients. I got addresses in a recipients array.
Yeah.
And sends them or mints them, so it creates new tokens for all the recipients, which in a situation would be the people you're allocating your crowd sale to initially.
Okay.
But we're only going to, I need 2 addresses, because I'm going to only put 2 users in here. So when it gets to the 3rd, it's going to fail.
Okay, good. That's important to discuss, is that we're purposely running a bad function and we're going to introspect. So okay, so we have, so what are the 2 addresses?
that's something I need to get 2 addresses. There is a command to list Beedler because it has its own Ethereum virtual machine. It has its own essentially simulation test nets, which is basically a simulation of what would happen on the actual Ethereum network, and which is what Truffle has been doing. So that's the other thing to mention about Truffle. Truffle was the first framework to do this.
Yeah.
And they aren't creating a test net like Ropsten or Rinkeby. They are creating a entirely simulated version of
that's super important, because when you're unit testing, you should always so if we're just treating like a normal database, whenever you're designing your functions, you should always have them such that you're not actually hitting a real database, and that you can have like a quick, for instance, in databasing, an SQLite server to be started up immediately. So what we're doing is that we're having our own virtual machine that can have all the same rules that our Ethereum virtual machine does, but we are going to make sure that we have a virtual machine.
Interesting. So for instance, you can start a so I can run npm builder node, and so this is actually what I'm looking for because I need some accounts. So this starts your virtual blockchain, and it gives you 20 accounts with pre-minted ether for them, or at least your simulated ether.
Yeah.
And
so now we actually can now put something inside the recipients, so we can send them some tokens.
Yeah, and so these are your 2 recipients, and this is a always failing function that would try and mint them contracts. So now we get to the testing phrase. So here we are in our test. So what are we going? So how are we going to? So where do we start? We're going to use what's called chai, and Eric could probably explain chai even more than I could.
Well, chai is what you're going to use when you say when you're running your normal tests. So really, what you are doing is asserting the values that you're expecting, whether they be equal to or contrary to the data that you're going to get. So let's just go for 1. So we're expect is the, I guess, like the most important of the tests that we're going to do. So we're doing, so describe is that we're going to say contract. So that's basically the name of the contract, the name of the test. And I think it's trying to be as close to English as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, 1 second. I'm going to see what Matt's talking about.
What's Matt talking about?
I know he's backstage. Hold on.
Okay, so here I am all alone. So yes, describe.
I'm back. I don't think he said anything.
Basically gives a description of all the tests that are running, and is itself a function. And each individual test uses the terminology it, which creates itself its own function. And so I am creating an async function that is going to run my first test here.
Hey, can you hear me?
Oh, man. Okay. Eric?
Hey, can you hear me?
Is Eric going to come back?
Yeah, I'm here.
I do not think so. We are.
Hey, can you hear me?
Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is to get the contract ABI. and this is through a function included in Ethers called get token factory. So I'm going to call this ABI token, or cheddar anyway. That's going to be equal to await ethers dot get contract factory. Where I have to put in the name of the token itself. And this is getting what's called the application binary interface with a smart contract. And essentially the bytecode needed to deploy on the virtual blockchain. And so then hello? Eric?
Hey, can you hear me? Hey, what's up?
Okay.
Hey, can you hear me now?
So
Yo, can you hear me?
anyway, so
Oh boy.
so then we're going to use deploy command on this on this bytecode instance, which is going to simulate deploying our contract on the virtual network. And so, let's see, and it needs to be lowercase. And so I'm going to stop here and make sure this works. Ooh, bytecode error.
Hey, Johnny, can you hear me? Oh, no, he can't hear me, guys.
So let's see what. Correct checksum. That's interesting. So,
hey, what's up?
I don't know what's happening. What?
You should refresh. I am here, and you can't see or hear me. All right, he's going to come right back. We're going to do a little refresh. Oh,
What
there
happened?
you are.
Okay.
Great. Now I just screen. So that's just what I think. What happens is that when I left, it did some weird bug, and then you couldn't hear me. I just thought it could be a feature, but I don't think so. Yo, try share your screen again.
Okay. What was Matt saying?
Matt was trying to get on. Lewis, we can hear you on the live stream, but Eric probably has his audio off or something. Oh, well, Crypto Puerto Rico is listening in. What's up? Hello.
Okay, so yeah, I was really confused about whether I was on this or not, or whether Eric was on this. So that
no, we were both on it, and we were both rocking and rolling, but we could not hear each other. So
what? Oh God, that was probably crazy.
It was kind of beat, but it's all right. Can we just share your screen again? And I think we're
okay.
be just fine.
It's sharing. I think you have to present it.
Okay.
So I'm getting.
There
I'm
we go.
getting.
Perfect.
Okay.
Compilation there.
What? Yes, I'm getting some weird thing with
You don't encapsulate them? Do you encapsulate them inside of single parentheses or something?
I'm not sure. Let's see what is going on here. So implicit.
Do we have another one? We have another token. Don't you have those receipts?
Yeah. This is interesting to me. So let's look at this. I wonder, is this like? So what's happening here? Invalid.
What's this? This is address, data type for Ethereum.
Invalid checksum. That's interesting. Maybe the Beedler addresses, which is interesting. Maybe. So I can go to my MetaMask and just get a random address.
Yeah, just get two. We're just trying to move it through. Don't you already had two last time?
What?
Didn't you have two prepared already?
Yeah. Let me. Let's try another random one. Let's try some other addresses. This is interesting. I've never seen this before. Actually.
Okay. Hey, I think yeah, it's fixed now. Yo, I'm just seeing new people roll in. Right now we are doing Ethereum contract smart contract testing and debugging. I mean, at the same time, I think we're doing an ERC20 tutorial simultaneously, but it just kind of got in the way. We're trying to look here. We're using describe to create a new test here in Chai. And we are basically deploying on a test net that is not for anything but unit testing.
What's up? Type error. It is not a function. That's interesting.
Yeah, because you didn't import it.
What do I need to import from?
Here you go.
I need to get it.
Well, yeah, I think you did already from Ether's word list.
I did not do that. I think it did it for me, actually.
I think it just did it right now. Yeah. I was like, oh, wow.
What? But it's still saying it is not a function, which is interesting.
That just ain't right.
Context.context. Test.6.
Okay.
Not sure. I can try and comment this out, but then it's gonna like.
I don't think
that's gonna help. Or maybe it did. VS Code looks like it.
Okay.
Constant ethers, and maybe this is the same thing that's happening.
Yeah, I did expect that sometimes that does happen. Okay, well that's good.
Cool. So now I have to just do that to give me some tokens.
So wait, say what you say it out loud.
What you did. Okay, just that is probably not the most apt description.
I was like, wait a second, I'm listening to this. I don't know what you're talking about. So what we did here was that your initial error was missing argument in the contract constructor. So yeah, you didn't deploy any number of tokens. So we see deployed is now this new promise that's going to be returned from cheddar dot the deploy method off of that ERC20 contract. Right.
So yep.
Now console.log is the big quantum leap here is because
this is in JavaScript, but we're getting to that.
We understand, yeah, we're using Chai, but what we're talking about is that we're using these JavaScript libraries, creating a virtual machine where these are tested. Oh
So
wow! Did you just log out the entire thing?
yes, this is what you get. I wanted to make sure it deployed, and this is the bytecode and all the functions
Yeah. Can we do a quick tour? Can we get to
of
the
what.
top of this list of the entire function? So you have send token, total supply, transfer, transfer from. These are your standard methods off of an ERC20.
This is very standard. Two of the cool things, it has events that you can filter for, and it has the address, and it has the address as a promise.
Okay, cool. So we can see that we have pretty much access to everything. So let's just look at that specific, I guess.
So now we're going to get an error. So let's see,
Mhm.
this is called send token. Well, it really should be called send tokens. So we're going to go modify that a little bit. And,
Okay.
so now we are going to comment that out, and we're going to see what happens when we try and send tokens.
That one. So we're trying to send tokens to an address that doesn't exist, or not to an address that doesn't exist, but since you have two recipients outlined and you have a for loop to send tokens for 1 to 3 users, the last one is going to be sent to an address that doesn't exist. Not that
Yes.
we didn't put a
Solidity, the EVM is trying to parse a slot in memory that it cannot access.
Okay, so it says invalid opcode.
Yeah, so
can we look at that opcode or no?
I'm sure you could. I would not know how to get that opcode. Well, I know how you would. In Remix, there's a cool tool that would allow you to see that opcode.
But this is, I mean, this is a lot of.
But
this is a lot of buildup that we had coming up to this very point. But there are two things that are outstanding here that we need to remark on. This error from the contract is saying VM exception. That means that we did have the
virtual machine
running. Yeah, there has to be a virtual machine present for that to happen. That's huge. So, and when you're actually trying to create these contracts in the wild, this is a great example of how you can start and continuously have new updates. Because if you're updating something inside someone's contract and then you break something inside that contract, like a new feature, that's another great reason for you to have unit tests, is because if you change a function that multiple people are working on, it could have a lot of different results from other pieces of the code. So you always should have these type of expect statements there, so we can help stop that, because teams get big, contracts get even larger, and it's great. So the second part to this that's super important is one, we have the actual virtual machine, and two, can we do a console log of deployed cheese? But can we look at console log recipients actually, and then we'll see that there's only two.
Right, but we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. First thing to note.
Yeah, I don't want to jump. I don't want to jump too far.
This isn't very obvious, but it's super powerful in that if you can see my screen, let's see what I've highlighted. It actually tells you where it fails, and you think, oh, that's just yeah.
Well, you kind of expect that because we're spoiled developers, but for a domain-specific language like Solidity,
in Truffle for a long time, you didn't get that. You would just get invalid opcode, somewhere, and that's kind of a nightmare.
But it's actually telling you from,
because you can imagine this function would actually be would be called, in an incepted way in 5 functions deep. So send tokens could be called by another function, which is called by another function, which is called by another function. So knowing what line it is, I didn't have to do my method of commenting out line by line until I get the right line, and it works or it doesn't work. I don't have to do that method anymore. So even this is powerful.
Yeah.
And something that, like, in itself is a huge advantage over Truffle. Though Truffle might have this, for all I know. I haven't gone that deep into all its upgrades, which the good folks at Consensus are still doing.
Can we get a console log of
Okay,
maybe
so
recipients?
yes, now we're going to the meat and butter and the magic of console logs in Solidity. Crap, I did. Okay.
You're good.
So we need to, but first we need to import it because it is a function, and I need to find
For
the right import. So we are going to import at Nomic Labs slash, I think it's probably slash Beedler. Dot log. Okay. Slash Beedler slash console dot sol. So it is actually its own smart contract that allows this magic to happen. And it would be kind of interesting to find that smart contract and look how it's written. So it might be pretty interesting. But so what you can, so now there's console.log. So now we can do console.log. I'm not actually sure if we can log an address. That I am not sure of, but we can try. And let's see, operate. Mm-hmm. So now we can run, but we can always do a test such as console log. We can do it, but I know we can do strings, so we can do console.log string, and they have hello cheddar. Mm-hmm. And if I pull up the documentation, you're actually supposed to put the type after. Though I may have written that wrong, but let's see.
Nomic Labs Builder is not. You spelled builder correctly. You spelled it builder, not Boidler.
Did I do something crazy, or is something crazy?
No, from your you're importing it, but with a correctly spelled builder. Can we go back up? Yeah. That's so funny. I just caught that with my eye. I was like, okay. Invalid opcode still.
But so now
wow.
you can see. So you can see the two addresses.
Tries to send out new tokens. Cool.
And so you can see it sent tokens through to two addresses before it failed. And then it also tells you what line it is now, which is 17. So if you're debugging, you have a lot of info to know what's happening in the depths of your smart contract.
Dude, that is where we're at.
Yeah, now we are out of the Stone Ages into the Bronze Age of Ethereum development.
Okay.
Maybe we'll get to the Iron Age. Who knows?
Yo, that is the show.
Yes, and so
that is actually a lot to take in. For one, do we want to just go from the top and see what we did? So let's see. We installed
a lot. We installed a lot of things.
Yeah, we went through the dev dependencies. You should, and something that I've always run into when I'm developing for Ethereum is that you should always be very cognizant of what versions your contracts are in, so you can see what code is going to work with what. And I think it was natural that we went through a kind of like a painful process getting that installed because it was really important. So, yeah, I'm going to come back to our cameras here. Yo, dude, for next week, I'll just have you up now. I took your screen off.
Okay.
My question is, what do you feel like doing next week? I was thinking maybe pushing forward with maybe more Rust stuff. I was thinking about more like asynchronous activities. I was looking at the Web3 library that they had installed for it, and I was going to make an event watcher for it. That was going to be super cool.
In Rust?
Yeah, that'd be super cool.
That would be an interesting challenge. I mean, I have never done that. I've never played with Rust Web 3.
Yeah, I was looking at it. It doesn't look like it doesn't look too hard. So I'm going to test it out during the week and then maybe do a. That's what I'm thinking.
There's also Rust smart contracts.
Yes. So let's think about that overall and plan for it. All right.
Yeah, we could also do Hello World type. We'd also do something with Wasm or Wazi.
Yeah.
And go through the buzzwords everyone hears about.
Okay. Maybe I was also thinking of making like an IoT project. So it could be like IoT blockchain LOL, you know? Maybe slap some artificial intelligence on it. Just to complete the whole cycle.
Oh God.
Hey, everyone watching
cycle.
Yeah. But everyone watching, thanks for sticking by. It was an hour. I hope that it was it can prove useful for you. I know that it was always like a pain point for me to debug smart contracts, and I hope that this was informative. It was, at least for me.
Yes, and I hope everyone got to experience
a little bit of pain as well.
Yeah, because there's also kind of a lesson on NPM and installing a bunch of packages and having a bunch of versions break.
Yeah.
So I do think NPM is a pretty nice package manager.
Yeah. So it's all good. Well, everyone at home, thanks for watching, and do try that at home. See you later. Bye.
Hey.